And then do you have to?
Good evening. Welcome to the Trails Committee on June 28th, 2022. I'm calling the meeting to order at 7:40. We'll do a roll call vote. Please let me know that you're here when I call your name. Isabel Murphy.
Here.
Satyendra Sharma.
Here.
Kat McKee here. And I am promoting Isabella Bogdansky as we speak. And Isabel, we are doing roll call votes. So are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Awesome. Thank you. Great. So let the minutes reflect that Tom McClear is not yet with us, but I hope that he'll be joining soon, and Will Warren will not be able to. He had a conflict. So first, I think this is appropriate that we do a quick announcement. I think the committee knows, I shared in an email the notification we received from Mass Trails Grant that the Trails Committee received a grant award this morning during the ceremony that was overseen by, it was organized by DCR, but Lieutenant Governor Polito was the keynote speaker at the presentation, and a few other representatives from different leadership organizations, the EEOEA and other groups. So yeah, it was very exciting, and Tom McClear and Will Warren were able to join the celebrations, and I sent some pictures, so I think you guys saw those. So.
Oh, I missed the, okay, didn't see those yet.
Yeah, did I say, I think you were on the
On email?
Yes, at, oh, I'm sorry.
I got a meeting link.
No, I haven't.
Okay, I've got it. Here we go.
I'm
I'm very
already,
sorry.
thanks, I'm already off the list.
No, you're not. It's only the 28th. Come on, there's 2 more days.
No, did you, seriously, did you send something?
I just resent it. Yeah, I sent it because I don't think you were on the original list. I apologize. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that's great news. And
So
just
give us the details.
Yeah, so the clarification is we received $50,000 for the award, and we'll understand more about what that means. Yes.
50,000?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we went for more. We asked for, it was the total grant number with the in-kind support and with CPA funding was 270,000. So we were awarded 50,000, and what they did was, it was a very competitive grant cycle. I'm not going to quote this quite right just yet, but I believe for our cycle, I'm just grabbing my notes, they had 107 applications. So they don't have a complete breakdown of how many of those 107 were awarded, because they had a second grant cycle for a multi-use path. So that added up to a total of 165 applications. So out of 165 applications, 81 total were selected, but it's different criteria. So it's not a, we were one of 81, we were one of 107, and I'm not sure how many 107 were selected because there's 2 cycles. It's just an odd experience. But the way they described it was, we got the maximum amount for a local trail grant. So that's very positive. They opted, because there were so many projects, they decided and needed to cap some of the projects at the local, and so they could fund more projects, right? So they total grant cycle, they affected 120 communities will get new trails because of the funding that was put forward, and I believe $11 million was spent through the entire 81 projects. So different projects, the multi-use paths are big dollars, so that's a different scale than we're at. We don't have full feedback yet as to why our grant application didn't qualify for regional, because we did have 3 regional trails impacted, but they'll give us that feedback in a couple weeks. So, you know, we're celebrating the fact that we got $50,000. It was our first grant, and we'll understand a little bit more about some of the decision that was meant, that was made. And we spoke to one individual, Tom Chamberlain from Sturbridge, and he sits on the MARTAB, the Massachusetts Advisory Trails Board. And he said, regional, it's kind of tricky, right? There's a fuzzy line when you call a trail regional. And so they really have to look at an application and examine it and understand how impactful it will be for that region. So it can be subjective at times, depending on the person who's reviewing the grant application. And again, if it's a very competitive cycle, they may opt to choose, to make it a local grant if they need to fund more projects. So it's a win.
It's a big win.
So this is the $50,000 is all for us.
What was that, Sati? Is it for
Is
us?
that $50,000 for us?
Yes.
Okay, that's a great thing.
Yes. So that's great news. And very happy to be able to speak about it now publicly. And I did share that with the select board. And they will be, so you may recall that we put in for an ARPA project. One of our projects was passed, but a second project was put forward to help fund the Peninsula Trail if we didn't get the grant, or in this case, we didn't get the full amount. So we're going to ask, the select board will at a future meeting, we hope it's in July. We hope it's the July 12th meeting, or is it the July 13th? I forget what date they're meeting. But we hope that they would vote favorably for the funding to finish up what we need for funds. So that's that next step. So yay. And on the same kind of topic, you saw the announcement that DCR signed the public access plan last week, right? And the week before, MWA had sent the 8M permit to be reviewed and signed by the town. We just received notice from Vanessa Hale that the select board voted to approve the 8M permit. And so now Mark Purple can sign it and send that off. That means that both permits for that parcel of land are now in place. And this is concluding a multi-year process of working with DCR and MWA to get those in place. So we're very grateful to those agencies for opening up these parcels to allow open space. And I'm personally, and I'm sure you guys are too, that this has come to a head and a conclusion that we're no longer going to be focusing on permits, and we'll switch our attention to focusing on building a trail. Yeah. So very good news all the way around. So very exciting. Any questions or thoughts on anything on that?
Fantastic.
Yeah. And Isabel Murphy, you know, I know you're going to be heading out soon in this meeting and for real with the committee. So let's just take a minute and say thank you. Thank you to you for your years of service. You've served on the committee, I believe it's 5 years, right? You joined in 2017.
Yeah.
I think just after me and Sati, right? And so you've contributed to all of these successes, and I'm so glad that you get to leave on a high note, right? You see all of this come together, and all of your contributions to the committee help make this happen. And so I hope I speak for everybody, and please speak for yourselves if you have different stories to share about Isabel and how awesome she is to be on this committee. But I've really enjoyed working with you and serving with you, and, you know, pulling up trash next to you and weeds next to you, and all the different ways that we've worked together over the years. And I can't say thank you enough for all of your dedication and everything that you've done for the committee. The town is really lucky to have you serve and continue to serve on the scholarship committee. And are you chair of the committee? I don't remember. Yeah.
At the
So,
moment, yeah. And as I said, when you and I discussed this, I am absolutely not leaving Trails. I am just kind of making a space for somebody else to be a full-time member. And as you know, I want to be in every meeting, and I want to be there, and I want to clear everything, and I want to, do whatever absolutely needs to be there. I also recognize that you guys have gone to Herculean efforts to reschedule meetings with my travel schedule. And it's only going to get worse. And I think, if I can kind of come in and help out versus you having to wait for me for quorum, it's kind of the right time to make this transition.
I echo what Kat said. Yeah, thank you, Samir. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
So
Yeah, thank you, Isabel. Even though I never really got to meet you, it was great to work alongside with you.
it's weird to think about. Wow.
I know it is. I don't like this. I wish we could all have meetings in person.
Maybe one day soon. Actually, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
But thank you for all your help on the committee. You're awesome.
Most definitely. But you guys are amazing. You have quorum, I believe. I'm going to take this opportunity to kind of step out, but I need you to promise me that you will let me know as soon as, so I guess you're going to schedule your next meeting. Let me know when it is so I can join in as a participant and keep you up to date. And let me also continue to kind of keep this area, open and clear.
Yeah, please feel free to, I'll keep you posted on meetings, but yeah, definitely let us know when there's maintenance needs and you have those eyes on the ground. So, maybe you could be the Adopt a Trail volunteer for that section, continue to be in that role maybe.
I want to continue as that, as you know.
Okay, great.
All right.
Well, thanks again. And I will be posting on on Facebook, just some posts about, thank you, Isabel. I hope you don't mind.
No,
They
thank you.
use that awesome picture that I love of yours that the picture, the one in the woods. Remember, it was during the guided hike in 2019, Bay Circuit Trail Connector. It was just this candid shot and it's just awesome. So
Well, and we got some more cleanup to do. So yeah,
yes.
I love it. All right.
Okay.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys. Have a great
Okay.
meeting. I'll see
Thank
you all soon. Okay.
Bye. Have
Bye-bye.
a good night.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. Okay. So Tom McClear may not be able to join us. He has a work meeting, so that's fine. So I'm just going to say, okay, can grade. I wrote grant by accident. That's probably not an accident. Okay, if you can grade, no worries if not. Okay. Okay, let's move on. So sad to see Isabel go. I really am. But along those lines, I did reach out to her and ask her if we could go ahead and post that a position is open, or volunteer opportunities open, and so we'll see. We'll put the feelers out and see what we get. So, and the next order of business, approved minutes from 4-2 and 5-5. So we didn't quite make it to 6-8, but we're in good shape if we can get through 5-5, because I just got the meeting request or the minutes request today. So I don't like getting those and then not having them ready. So let me see. I'll pull up 4-12 first. So let me see if I can share my screen. Hold on.
I don't recall if Tom's no in the attendees, not the attendees, but the visitors, if Sam Stivers was there.
Oh, during the 4-12 meeting?
Yeah, I think usually he is there.
He is, and I don't remember either.
But it is fine.
So I think her name might be spelled different than that. Anyway, so can you see my screen?
Yes.
The minutes. Okay, great. So I'm going to be looking at to make sure if we have any attendees or people to raise their hands. Okay, so the first, just a quick edit. I want to make sure I'm going to put a note here is to confirm name spell for Shannon. And then Isabel, do you need a minute to kind of go through these, or I sent them just a little bit before the meeting, so you might need a few minutes.
No, I'm all set. You can keep scrolling down.
This time I wrote the right spelling for Isabella. Her last name.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. Yeah. And I just added here, Tom McCuller left the meeting early, so, because sometimes it's confusing if you have an attendee and then you have a vote later and there's not one
I
of the.
have an asterisk at some place with this
Yeah, I
comment.
saw that, but was that for Will Warren join later?
No, down somewhere during the vote. One of those votes, we only 3 were there. So I had this thing. You'll see this as we go down.
Oh, right here, Tom dropped off. Yep, got it. Okay. So Bella, let me know when I need to scroll further.
Looks good. You can keep going.
I'm gonna change Kat to Catherine.
Yeah, I always write Catherine.
It's okay. I write Sati sometimes. I'm like, no. Oh, here's the one edit. I'm gonna get rid of flyer because I think. Well, actually, no, flyer works. Okay, are we good to scroll a little? Isabella, are you on mute?
Yeah, you can scroll down.
Yeah, I think it was just the end.
Yeah,
I'm gonna put this on a separate line. I don't like the zero hanging up there by itself.
Okay.
Great. Okay, so can I get a motion to approve the April 12th, 2022 minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the April 12th, 2022 minutes.
I second it.
Great, and let's do roll call. So Satyendra Sharma,
Yes.
Isabella Bogdansky,
Yes.
and Catherine McKee, yes. So motion passes. Thank you. And then the next one, ooh, I think, hold on, I have to just save it real quick because I took it out. Oops. I'm going around my. Okay, great. I took it off the email and I shouldn't do that. And I don't want to show my email. I'm going to stop sharing screen because what I realized is when I was going through the minutes, going through the last meeting, sometimes I'll leave my screen on my email so everybody and their mother can see my screen. And that might not be a good thing. Not that I have anything in my email to hide, but it is, people could easily take information that I didn't intend to share. You just never know. All right, so I'm pulling up 5.5. So 5.5's meeting was very short, and this was the meeting that we everyone see my meeting notes from May 5th. This was at town meeting, so I put the meeting location, annual town meeting. Actually, maybe I should put Algonquin High School. Was that in Northborough? North.
Yeah, that was in Northborough.
Yeah, in person. Okay. And then, so basically, Bella, we called a quick meeting. It was Sati, Tom, and I called the meeting because it was during the article discussion, and it was roughly 10:30. It might have been a little bit earlier. And it was after Jim Haggerty, the town clerk, made an amendment to our article, a second amendment to strike associate members. So we called the meeting to order to discuss options, and the options were, if the amendment passes, then the 2 active volunteers will be terminated. If the committee continues as an ad hoc committee and indefinitely postpones the article, then the associate member position and 2 volunteers currently serving in this capacity will remain in effect. So actually, yeah, so committee concluded that if the amendment passes, we would indefinitely postpone the article. And so we voted, Tom, Sati, and I voted to indefinitely postpone should that article pass, should that amendment pass. So these minutes reflect that. So we did indefinitely postpone. We offered that, but it failed. So, and we called the meeting, we adjourned the meeting at 10:47. That was a little bit later. We weren't in session the whole time, but I have a text record of when I made sure that we noted that. So this is essentially what it reflects.
Okay. All right. That makes sense.
Sati, does this work for you?
Yeah, that looks fine with me.
Great. And so can we get a motion to approve the May 5th, 2022 minutes?
Yeah, I move the motion to
Okay.
approve the minutes
And then,
for 5th of May, 2022.
great. And a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. And roll call vote, Satyendra Sharma,
Yes.
Isabella Bogdansky,
Yes.
and Kat McKee. Yes, great. Motion passes. Thank you. So we'll get those submitted. Wonderful. Okay, next on the agenda. Choate Fund Grant 2021 project update and closeout. So the next step in that project is, and this is last year's, is the signs are being finalized they're at Gemini. I'm assuming they're ready. They haven't called me yet. These are the no dog signs that we had printed. So there's going to be an opportunity to install some of these signs. I'll reach out to the committee and see who might be available. It won't be difficult. I think I could only order 6, but we had discussed during a previous meeting that where we couldn't afford with the grant, the aluminum signs, we can put up temporary laminated signs and perhaps use some of our ARPA money to fund a couple of the additional no dog signs that we might need. So we'll take some time to see where we want to do that signage. So that's the end. We sent out a final notice on Facebook and just said, this concludes the campaign, and you can see the signs on the webpage and directed them accordingly. So thanks for everybody's support and help with that project. I thought the dog waste education campaign was eye-opening in a number of ways. And I think after we put up some signage, like we did see a noticeable when we did a walk at Breakneck Hill, we noticed it was noticeable that the dog waste was much less, right? So that's a positive outcome, and whether it directly, was a part of the campaign or just by coincidence, we can't know, but it seems to be tied. So we'll take it as a success and hope, now we have signs that can go out at Breakneck Hill. Stewardship would be in charge of that. And so it's great. So I think, I think it generated some good conversations. There was some mySouthborough.com conversations. There was some Sobo Care and Share Facebook page conversations about, so it helped a little bit, I think, and it definitely got some words out. And I dropped off the dog supplemental information for the dog licenses. And so they're going to be going out in the renewals that are coming out soon. And then any new registration. So there is some long-term sustainability with this project that I really appreciate that aspect. So we'll be helping people know where they can't walk their dogs.
So one question. So would Are these permanent signs or just during the campaign time?
These
Will
are,
they be-
so there's two different types of signs, the signs at Breakneck Hill, the yard signs, those comical but serious signs. Those are, you know, to be used at different times of the year. If you're noticing a problem, you can put those out and then take them back in. They're not meant to stay out. But the signs that we're installing on the trail along the Sudbury Reservoir Trail will be permanent signs. They're aluminum. And so they're, you know, right now there's a lack of signage to indicate where dogs can't be walked. And so this will be a way of helping everyone understand what's allowed and what's not. Okay. Okay, so that's that, and that's a closeout, and then we'll send a final thank you, which has been drafted by the stewardship committee. We'll send that out to the Choate Fund trustees and thank them and let them see some pictures of the great work that they did. I thought that grant, it was a multi-dimensional grant for sure project, but it had a lot of good aspects to it, and I think I felt like it was a success. I don't know how you guys feel, but it was a lot of work, but it was a good outcome. And okay, so fun and exciting next step is Aqueduct Connector Trail, Nick Mcavoy's Eagle Scout project. So because the 8M permit is getting signed or was approved tonight, and Mark Purple will sign it when he gets back, I need to confirm with MWRA, but we'll be able to announce Nick's project finally, the completion of his project. So we've been holding off because we didn't want to say, hey guys, we have a brand new trail for you, but you can't go on it yet. So don't. That's never going to work. So we wanted to wait until we could really say, now you can walk on the trail, da 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 da. And so part of the maintenance that we were doing last week with Tom and Will, was when I went to visit, you saw the email, when I went to see the trail, it was all grown up again. So we were able to reestablish, get down the weeds, knock them down, which was good. It was not that bad using a dual edge weed cutter. It's kind of a triangle cut. Surprisingly it worked really well. And then because we have a lawnmower that I got off of the recycling page that is for trails, I brought it over there thinking that let's try to see if I can mow this trail, if it's even doable that we could mow a trail. You know, some trails are more suitable for lawnmowers than others. Well, Pine Hill is a hill, like the trail that comes right off the road is a very steep hill. And so luckily the mower is an assist, you know, so it assists itself up the hill, which is perfect. But then there's a rock wall and that's not so easy to get over. So I did drag the mower over the rock wall and got to the other side. And then I started the mower and it started and then it stopped and I flooded it apparently because mowers, and it had a full tank of gas. So the mower was at an uneven tilt going up the hill. The gas got into the carburetor, flooded the thing. So I waited and waited and waited and I couldn't get it to work. So that was a little frustrating. Brought it home, starts right up. So I'm like, okay, so the mower works, but it was just the situation didn't really work. And it's not doable for anybody to really drag a mower over those rocks. It's just not gonna work. So tried and failed. But I did take the mower to Deerfoot and mow those trails. It took me 12 minutes. 12 minutes, right? Where a weed eater, a string trimmer has taken me hours, right? So I think that's going to be a really good solution. J&J does not mow that section of trail. I'm not exactly sure if they ever mowed it or if they stopped mowing it once the Eagle Scout put the boards in. I'm just not sure. But the good news is we can use it there. But as far as using that small mower on other trails, it's not necessarily conducive to, if there's rocks or sticks or things like that, you need a bigger mower that will be heavy duty. So it's not quite a solution for some of our problems, but it helps on a small scale. So that's that, and so we'll be able to announce Nick's project. I did let Nick know and that would be coming. So that's that. And then Number 5, the Peninsula Trail, we talked about. DCR access plan is out there now. I'm so excited about that. I don't know how you guys feel, but it feels surreal. Like it feels like it's been on our agenda and we talk about it every meeting, and we have since 2017 almost. What's the update? You know, it's just a permanent agenda. And so now we can finally say it's signed and done. And I don't know, it's just,
Yeah.
I just never, we always talk about it, you know, in the future, and you just never know that you're really going to make that day one day. And here we are, we made that day.
Yeah, I've been writing the minutes and I know. It is, it's always there's a permanent line kind of.
Yeah, yeah. And now it's got to shift. So I'm so excited about that. But yeah, so that's great news. And then number 6, so Recreation reached out. Joe, the program manager, reached out and asked if the Trails Committee would consider working with to do a walk or a hike in July to honor Parks and Recreation Month. Apparently that's July. So I said, yes, we would talk about it tonight and see what we could come up with. And I also said that we happen to have funding for a hike series of different types that we might be able to incorporate into this and, you know, kind of knock out 2 objectives with one walk or one hike. And he's like, whatever you guys want to do to kind of just get people outside, get people walking on the trails would be great. You know, he had suggested maybe someone guide a hike along the trail and talk about history and that kind of stuff. So we might be able to do that. I wrapping this into the Choke Fund 2022 grant, you know, I reached out to Emma Bartolini. She was the yoga on the trails. I let her know that the grant was accepted and that we would be talking schedules and seeing what she was thinking about. And I reached out to Debbie Costine. She was a nature walk also. And so she's doing some thinking. And then I let Erin Flowers know that we had gotten the grant, and I asked her for some thoughts about her schedule and what they wanted, because I know July is not only a hot month, but it's a vacation heavy month, July and August. So in the past, we have kind of steered clear from having too many events in those months for the fact that, you know, most people are away and we might not benefit the majority. But what are you guys thinking about? I don't know. I mean, if one of our hike leaders could do something constructive in July and it could satisfy part of the Choke Fund grant and what Recreation is doing, part of their parks celebrating their month, do you think that would be a good thing to target versus just scheduling a walk in Southborough, you know, talk about? I just, yeah.
I think, yeah. So guided hike will be good if we can do somewhere in the middle of July, maybe.
Yeah,
Right.
after
Yeah.
the 4th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like maybe doing a history walk of like the first trail in Southborough, or like some of the first like public lands to be established, maybe could be
Okay.
interesting with like the National Park Month and just
Yeah,
like the history of it all.
That's really good.
Yeah, good. Yeah, good idea. Yeah.
I like that. And actually, so I don't know, I know Isabel Murphy knew the person who was primarily responsible for putting the Sudbury Reservoir Trail, because I think that might be the first trail in Southborough, like the first, I know it's the first TCR trail, but that's interesting. And I wonder who, like, one of the things about the history piece is, you know, if you walk along from Deerfoot all the way to Lynbrook, you know, all of that whole area is, you know, you get the Burnett House and that type of history. We just need someone who knows all of that history and who's a good, you know, narrator, or someone who likes to kind of share that. And the person who comes to mind, Al Bazanson, I don't know if he would be open to doing it or if it's his thing anymore, but he's just a wealth of information. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on who might be really good. And Sati, you have a neighbor what is her name? Fury? Patricia?
Oh, Patty Fury.
Patty, yeah. I don't know if
Yes,
she likes doing anything
I
like
can
that.
ask her. She comes in our guided hikes.
Yeah,
She joins
yeah,
us.
and
Yeah,
she might be it seems like she's a history buff. She seems to,
I can ask her.
yeah, see if she's interested, but we could reach out to the historical commission and see if there's anyone currently on the commission that might want to do a little walk. Something like that.
Yeah. I wish I knew more people in town. to
I
history
know
that.
that's and maybe Tom, he's a townie, and that's the thing about Isabel Murphy is that she's a long history in town. So
Mhm.
it's always good to have those people because they just know who exactly to kind of.
I have another neighbor, Jim Collier. He is he has been here like since last how many years? He has seen he was a firefighter, and he has seen the blizzard of 76, 77. Yeah, so I can ask him, but I don't know how. I mean, is he engaging? I mean, he knows everything about town. I mean, he has been here.
You just really need to have someone who likes to talk and tell
Yep, he
stories.
likes to talk.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you want to reach out to them, I'll reach out to historical. We'll see if anything comes to mind. It's going to kind of be a fast and furious thing. If that doesn't work, because I really like that theme, Bella, kind of honoring the Parks and Rec and idea. But as a backup, we could use one of our guided hikes or guided walks or experiences to fill in that gap. So we'll need to kind of pool our resources. Sati, if you're available. So just to consider, this weekend is holiday weekend. So people are going to be either going on vacation or taking a long weekend. So if maybe we reach out today or tomorrow and
Okay.
see if they're available, if they have any thoughts, and then we can figure it out sometime next week.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Thank you for your input. Next is an interesting, Bella, you've been on these emails. So DCR offered, so they have a unique opportunity for trails. I mean, they have some native pollinator plants that they would like to install in a garden, create a garden. And they asked if there was a location in Southborough on DCR land that they could use for this purpose at a trailhead or something like that. And they essentially had a plan for these plants, but it fell through. So they're reaching out to different groups to see if they could, if there was an opportunity. So Bella, I want to hear from you, and I'm going to share my screen because I've got the picture up here.
Okay. Actually, I have seen that link, but I haven't clicked on any of the emails yet. So this is the first time like really looking at it.
That's okay. And I copied Bella on this because of her experience with native plants and gardening and her skill set from college, right? What was your degree in again, Bella?
It was in environmental studies and art and design.
Environmental studies. What was the last piece? Design?
And art and design.
Art and design.
Yeah. And right now I'm an outdoor gardener at Tower Hill Botanic Gardens.
Oh wow!
Awesome.
Yeah, new job. I love it.
I have a membership there. Yeah, I have a membership.
You do? Go. Oh, come visit sometime.
We should have an outing and go visit Bella. And
It's a wonderful place. Yeah.
beautiful.
Oh, that would be so awesome.
It is New England Botanical Garden, right? It has become instead
Yeah,
of
they
flowers,
just rebranded. So it's
rebranded.
New
Right,
England
right, yeah.
Garden.
So neat.
Yeah, I'm still getting used to calling it that.
Yeah, that's going to happen for years. Okay, so you see the plants in front of us.
Yes.
These are the plants, right? And so I can tell you, let me just see if I have the same string of email. Yeah, so there's 6 that bearberry, 8 stiff-leaved aster sub something or other, 6 little blue stem grass, blah, 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 blah. and 4 switchgrass, blah, 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 blah. So that's a lot of plants, and so it's challenging because it's hot right now, right? Planting
Yeah.
season is almost, I don't know if it's ideal,
And
like,
whenever there's rain, then we can do.
Yeah.
I mean,
if you get a
next
kind of
day if there's a rain forecast, yeah.
right.
We
So,
definitely have to do it like in line with some rainier days.
Yep.
Some wet days, you know.
and then there's soil prep. Do we even have time to do that? Like, let me just ask the question. Is this realistic? Bella and Sati, you have gardening skills too, but literally, could we dig a plot of land and dig up all the grass and plant some plants? Is that even possible in
Yeah.
the next few weeks? It is?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, that's totally possible.
Okay.
I have a post sticker which works fine for this kind of
Yeah, Okay.
work.
great. So then the question is where
Mhm.
we do this? And I have not, and I don't know, Bella, or Sati, if you can look at these plants and tell which one needs sun or shade or what the combination of them are. But and the art and design, Bella, you would be able to design the garden, for example. That might be fun.
Yeah.
One of the locations that might really work for this, because there is a mix of sun and shade, I'm assuming these plants will need a combo of those, is
How,
the Route 30 White Bagley trailhead, right? That triangle.
Mhm.
that is one good place. Another place might be the bench where the bench that
On the trail. and
the
deer-
scouts installed
Yep.
there near the bench.
Do you think, I mean, we wouldn't be able to put all of these there.
No,
though,
no, no,
right?
some of them.
Oh, okay, split them up.
Yeah.
Right, that's an option, right? So we could split them up. That's actually an interesting thought that I didn't have in my mind, because I'm an all or nothing kind of person sometimes. So that's a good idea. So then the other trailheads are, Route 85, I would not recommend. That's a full shade, so I don't think that's necessarily a good spot, depending on these plants.
Mhm.
There's
Yeah.
Ward Road. Again, I don't think you live near Ward Road, right, Bella? At the end there,
Yes.
we're hoping to put a kiosk there at one point, but I don't know if this is a good spot for the.
It's a little bit too shady over there.
Yeah.
I put these plants in like
Yeah.
partial to full sun.
Okay, so then the Route 30 White Bagley location seems to be maybe an ideal spot. And I offered that as an idea because if DCR wants to put a little yard sign that says Pollinator Garden by DCR and get some
Mhm.
credit for it, because I know they like credit, that might be very visible to everybody.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of space there. So,
Yeah, I mean, we can be guided by Isabella.
Yeah.
She is a designer, so it will be wonderful, and we can work.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely. I'd be happy to do this.
awesome, we'd be happy to help. So
Yep.
a couple of things, I reached out to the conservation agent, Melissa Danza, and asked her, I shared the idea, shared the plans, any issues, do we need to talk to Concom, do they want to hear from us? She said, no, you're good, it's under the threshold of whatever needs to happen if we're
Mhm.
doing stuff. So she was fine. I reached out to Freddie because she's open space and deals with pollinator gardens. So I wanted to understand, of this plant list, are there any no-nos that might be problematic? And I think Melissa had flagged that some of the grasses might be a cultivar, but in the grand scheme of things, and Freddie cautioned to say that it's not a big impact because they're grasses, because we don't actually know if we are planting cultivar grasses, that there actually could be a negative impact that we're not thinking about. So it's not okay to say there is no impact because pollinators are really looking for the nectar and the pollen, and grasses aren't producing that. They could still have, as a cultivar, have some negative impact that we're not thinking about. So that's a consideration.
Do you have a list? Do you have the list? Would
Yeah,
it be possible
list.
for to
Yeah,
have?
can you see, let's see.
Yeah.
Where's the list?
Yeah, I have the list right now, and all of them are native. The only thing that's not native is the little blue stem schizachyrium. That's a cultivar.
Yep.
It
That's right.
is Schizachyrum sciparium is a native grass, but yeah, it's that specific cultivar.
Okay.
I think
So,
it would be fine. I don't think it would cause like too much. Are you worried about like it kind of overtaking?
no, it was more about, being more of a purist and taking the open space preservation's position and being
Yeah.
consistent in town about what we're planting for native plants and using Dr. Gregier's list that the Ecology Garden and Freddie and Open Space have adopted as a guide to what's a good, kind of pollinator garden and that would create and enhance the biodiversity that we're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
So the good news is most of them are native except for the grasses that we've determined, are not the worst thing. So that's that. And so then I asked Freddie for her advice if she couldn't make the meeting. So we had some back and forth, and she said it's a big undertaking because these plants are going to need a lot of watering. It's before until they get established. So and he did, Andy Leahy, the ranger, did admit that some of the plants are very stressed right now, so he might have to put them in the ground just temporarily until they can maybe recover a little bit, until it gets cooler, because we're looking at a couple weeks of hot weather. And then so Freddie did say if you're going to plant in an area that I would suggest putting in a pollinator preservation garden, it has real value. If it's needed to build goodwill and blah 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 blah, another garden later, so he's there might not, so we have to gauge the amount of work this is going to require and just go into it eyes wide open. And she mentioned we're going to have to figure out the soil prep, and then there's something about a water cube. They use a water cube at Breakneck Hill. It's this huge cube that they sit out there, and that helps them water. I don't know that we need a big cube, but we do need a solution for water. Because I think we'd have to bring it in.
I mean, if we plant them in line with the weather forecast, first rain will be sufficient for them to survive. Because if they are stressed, if there's a good rain right after that, and they should be okay because
Because they're more established plants, they won't need as much watering and care.
Right. Once they
because I now have a cooler. I did this once where I brought water to Breakneck Hill in a cooler in the back of my car, thinking that it was a good idea, except all the water escaped out of my, well, not all, a lot of the water escaped out of the cooler and into the back of and I have a RAV4. So I was like, well, where did it go? It went underneath like where my spare tire was. So I had to pull everything out and go in there and suck it all up. It was a nightmare. But now I have a cooler that has a very tight latch that I could literally fill up with water and bring here or a couple times. Like it's not ideal, but we could do something like that.
And little mulching will help. I mean,
did you say mulching or maybe wood chips?
Yeah, wood chips is fine.
Mulch, yeah. Because I just attended the Open Space hosted a garden tour on Saturday at the library and at Beals Preserve, and they said don't use mulch that has any kind of dye in it. You just want to make sure it's all natural. So, and the wood chips, I think you need to make sure are, and Bella, you fill us in, they need to be sourced locally so we're not bringing in disease or insects, right?
Yeah. Another thing, we could also maybe do this in the fall. I don't know if you want to wait that long, but that way, like the days are a little bit cooler and there's a little bit more precipitation, so the plants would be a little bit more acclimated instead of just doing it in the middle of the summer.
Yeah, I think his concern is they need to go in now, or I don't think he can maintain them until the fall, so that's kind of the push.
Okay.
The other question is like, are we literally going to go out there and dig up the earth? Like, I mean, is that what, like, am I thinking of it the right way? We get our tools, we go out there, we dig earth. And then do we need to bring any supplemental soil in, Bella? And if we do that, because of the jumping worm issue that people are saying, don't bring in soil from the outside. I did speak with a woman at that garden tour that said, you just want to make, I think the coast of Maine has an organic certified soil, something like
Yes.
that. She said, make sure it's certified organic so that there is nothing funky in there.
Yeah, we could use like an organic compost mix to add into the soil to help with rooting and being more established, because the
Yep.
quality of the soil might not be super
Right.
great. So it'd help with getting the plants established. So it would definitely be good to do. But we don't
So
need to
what-
get in a bunch of brand new dirt for
You
a
just
pot
think
of
that
land.
you think the organic compost mix would be enough?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
some people sell this dung, cow dung,
Yeah.
and that is like composted dung. I know a
Yeah.
place in Hopkinton,
Okay.
they do. I mean, I can ask. Sometimes they just leave it outside.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then just to conclude, Freddie said, it's a big undertaking. Free plants are not always free. Just keep that in mind. That is true. And she said, if your committee wants to, I wouldn't say no. So, it's a big investment of time and energy, but I'm open to helping. I mean, I think ideally, I guess the next question would be, I hate to even say this, is if we're going to install a garden, I think we need to talk to the landowners, which will be the town of Southborough. Right? The select board will need to sign off on this.
I
That-
mean, our kiosk, is that
Yeah.
a problem?
Yeah. Well, it's a timing thing. So their next meeting is like July 12th, 13th, and 14th. So that's 2 weeks, right? And so it puts us more into the middle of summer. And I don't, I just, I don't, although, wait a minute. Oh, see, if it were DCR land, we could do it on DCR land, but that triangle is town owned.
Hmm.
But there's a sliver of it that's DCR land, so maybe there's a way to focus on the border. Get more on the DCR land than the town side. So yeah, that's the only roadblock I can kind of see. But the other thing is, I would ask if DCR wants us to do this, would DCR, and Bella help me and articulate this, would DCR be also willing to pay for compost mixture for us to supplement the soil? Is that a fair ask?
I think that would be a fair ask. It shouldn't be too expensive either, but that they definitely could help us with that.
Yeah. Okay. And then as far as design of garden, is that something that excites you, Bella? Like understanding what the type of plant is, the height and how high it goes, and the structure and how it's going to look in a garden? Are you up for
Yeah.
that challenge?
Absolutely. I just have to see where we want to plant this first and then make a design off of that.
Okay. Are you around in the next few days? I know you're working and stuff. I'm happy to meet you. And Sati, if you want to come out too, we can meet at the circle and kind of brainstorm some ideas, and I can look at the GPS map and see where the town line is and see what we might be looking at.
No, I'm not available until next week.
Okay. All
Would
right.
sometime next week work with you guys?
Yeah, I think so. Well, Sati, are you around? I know you're busy with a new job and stuff.
Yeah.
Around in the evenings?
So yeah, I need any time after 5:30 is fine.
Okay. So maybe, are you around on Thursday? So like if Sati and I did a preliminary look, and the only reason I would suggest this is so that I can reach out to the select board in advance. So when we meet, Bella will have more information on whether we can do something like this. But would you be able to meet on Thursday, Sati, after work?
This Thursday? Oh no.
The first?
No.
No? Okay.
No,
That's
actually I had to go to airport to.
Okay. I can't meet tomorrow because I've got a thing at work. So, okay. So yeah, we'll do it next week. What is the, well, 5th is out. So how about the 6th, the Tuesday, the 6th?
Tuesday the 6th. Yes, that is fine.
How about you, Bella, after like 5:30?
Wednesday the 6th.
Tuesday the 6th?
Isn't it a Wednesday that's the 6th? Tuesday's the 5th.
You know what? I'm looking at my calendar and it's a 2021 calendar. Have I been?
Oh
Yeah, you are right. Bella, it is 6th. Tuesday is 5th.
Wait a minute. Have I been using the wrong calendar for like months? Is that even possible?
Oh no.
Hysterical or not? Oh my, that's why I'm often can't get the dates right for the select board meeting because I keep looking at the. Wow. Okay. Well, whatever Tuesday is. What is Tuesday?
5th.
The 5th.
That would work. Yeah.
Okay, after 5:30. Oh my god. Forest for the trees. Okay, so let's meet next Tuesday. I'll put a calendar invite so we have it, and then we'll just do a little scope and see what we can do.
Okay.
I'll let Andy know. Thank you for that. Okay, let's speed through the rest. We talked about Mass Trails grant status, yay. ARPA funding. So this is exciting. ARPA funding. So there's a couple of things. The select board voted for the 12.5. So, and the committee voted for me to spend a little bit of money on some repurposed tools. So I want you to see what was purchased. Can you see the screen now?
Yes.
Okay, so a neighbor was having an estate sale, so it was a perfect opportunity. I could not have aligned this better. And he had some wonderful tools. So we picked up 2 Mattocks, a spade shovel, a digging shovel, a hoe, a bow rake, a tree pruner, and actually 3 bow rakes and a hole digger, a post hole digger, which is awesome,
That's
for $45.
great.
Right now, talk about spending taxpayer money. That's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. So here's some pictures. Here are the rakes, right? The shovel and the hoe, the post hole digger, and they're all in great condition. And this is
Yeah.
the pruner. Now the tree pruner may come in less handy, but on occasion it's helpful if we've got a hanging branch or something that we can't reach. Here's the bow saw and here's the spade. Oh, and the 2 Mattocks.
Oh, these are
So
very useful.
that was for $45. And then one other purchase was for the weed, the dual edge weed cutter. So that was, and that came in handy last week when we were doing the trail work at Pine Hill Road. So yeah, so next steps, I think for trail tools. So I have reached out to DPW. That was the next step, to see if we could put a shed on
Okay.
their somewhere on the transfer station property that made sense to them and that we could have access to during. The only time we'll have access is when transfer station is open. And I think, unless you guys think differently, I think that's going to be okay. We can plan ahead. So if we had, for example, trail work on Monday, Tuesday, when does the transfer station open? Wednesday?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so if we do
Wednesday.
anything, if we do anything on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, we'll have to plan ahead. That's it, right? And I'm not that concerned. Otherwise it will be off.
What about the DPW office itself nearby? I mean, that is always open. I mean, that area is always open.
What is that now?
DPW office.
Oh, you mean in there somewhere?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I guess if they're available, I mean, if there's a spot that they would put it, then yeah, that'd be great. But otherwise, if it's behind locked gate, then I'm
Yeah.
fine with that too. But yeah, so I haven't heard back from them on that. So I think during our next meeting, we'll come together and look at a tools list and see what we want to purchase for tools. One recommendation I'm going to say is, after Will and I tackled this one area near the Bay Circuit connector, near the Nichols and Clemens, you know, that one, Satie, is your new favorite one. So there's an MWA gate, and there's a section of, you have to walk around the gate. It is, you know, shoulder high poison ivy grape,
Oh,
and that's where I got my poison ivy from. So we used the weed cutter in that area. It was effective at knocking them down, but in that case, I think we really needed a brush cutter. And AMC, a couple of years ago, their volunteers had a brush cutter. And a brush cutter is essentially it can be handheld or a bigger machine, but a handheld string trimmer, but instead of strings, it's blades. So it cuts small shrubs. It's very dangerous though. And so we would need to not only purchase the machine, we would need to purchase chaps, those like chainsaw chaps for protection, as well as get training, because we're not going to use a tool of that magnitude without some training. So we need to look into what that means. But that is really the best tool for that job. And I'm not trying to go overboard on tools, but after I dragged that mower up that hill and over that rock wall, I realized that we're trying to do something sustainable, and dragging a mower over a rock wall is not sustainable, and no one's going to do that in their right mind, right? It's just not going to work. So we need the right tools to be able to do that. We also need to figure out an additional mowing contract for the Ward Road section. It's just 2 times a year is not going to work. So we either ask DPW to, if we could explore in a future fiscal year funding for a couple of extra mows in that area, if MWA were open to it, and see where that goes. Because right now those trails aren't usable, and we can't bring a mower to the open channel section. I think that trail is too many obstacles, too many rocks, too high for the mower. It's not the right kind. So there's also renting a bigger mower. We could look into doing that. We'd need MWA's permission, but so that's that part of the ARPA funding. The second part of ARPA funding is, so I mentioned that the select board would be voting in an upcoming meeting on whatever we didn't get for the Mass Trails grant. So we'll see, but we needed to provide some additional quotes for crosswalks. So I reached out to DPW. DPW put me in touch with VHB, which is a consulting firm, an engineering firm that they do this type of stuff. They provided two quotes I want you to see. And they're confusing, and because we're not engineers, and they're also very expensive. Let's share screen here. Okay, great. So let me start with the least expensive one, and that's not it. Okay, so you see my screen, it's order of magnitude. Oh wait, you don't see it yet. You should see the option 1. Okay, so I don't even look at the description, because focus on this column. Sorry, this column is Stony Brook, which is across from MWA's headquarters on Route 30. That's going to involve Mass DOT. Good news is that we saw a representative from Mass DOT today at the award ceremony, Pete Sutton, and he said to reach out to him about this, about getting it started. We're waiting to hear back from Sanofi of whether they're going to allow parking. If they allow parking, then we can move forward with the Stony Brook. That's going to be a less expensive option. He initially quoted something like 5,000, and that's just to put the paint strips down. I think you have to have handicap curbs on each side. It's a mandatory requirement, and so this estimate is 15,000. So that's what that came in at, and that's a simple approach. And you see the next column is Central Street. That's 150,000. That's the lower of the two quotes. And he said every time they went out to visit the Central Street in Route 31, it was getting more expensive each visit. So it just depends. There's a lot of factors that go into that light. And he didn't think, I think the quote he has here is tying into an existing light structure by putting in, it has to be the lights, it has to be controlled and that kind of stuff. So this is the one option. The second option is this. So it's $500,000. But when I started looking at it, almost 100,000 of that is contingency. So maybe that's a positive. It's not quite $500,000.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's pretty expensive, right? And I think he maybe used a different example for the Stony Brook, because now that second option is 60,000. I think it was more of the flashing beacon. Yeah, that's what it says here. So that's obviously far more expensive than just having strips. And
How wide is the crosswalk? 10 feet, 15 feet?
I'm not sure. They have a standard, and I don't know what that is just yet, and I don't know if
And wide in the sense, okay, I mean across the road. How it should be across the road, right? So
Yeah.
it will be the width of the road, maybe like
How
10 feet,
wide.
12 feet.
Yeah, something like that, whatever the length of the road is. Yeah, I don't
That's a pretty expensive thing. I mean, the whole
It's very
for
expensive. So I met with capital planning last night to talk about, because they want any project that's over 10,000, capital planning wants to know about it so they can put it on a list. And so they voted to put the Peninsula Trail on the list. And the list is of all capital projects in town, so that they can do budgeting, and they can know what's coming down the pike. They can group projects together to get economy of scales for, budgeting and stuff like that. So there's all sorts of reasons why they want to put it on the list. They chose to put the crosswalks as a second project separately, and they did not vote on it last night because of the wide range in the quotes, 150 to 500,000. So they wanted to get a better understanding of that. And something that came out of the conversation, which I need to run to ground a little bit, is, he's like, obviously you're going to need a project manager to oversee this project because it's a 6-figure project. I'm like, right, of course. Well, we're not touching the crosswalk project. We're not going to be project managers for that. What I need to get clarification on is, because we did have budget for project manager for the trails project. That was the representative, the individual from Conservation Works that we met with. And, but he mentioned a municipal project manager. So that's a whole different ballgame. That's a whole different budget that we haven't budgeted for. So I need to understand from Jason what his perspective was when he was, is it just for the crosswalk, or does he mean for something else? And his point was that Trails Committee is, we're all volunteers. We're not a paid member of the town. So you really want, when you're running a municipal project, to make sure that someone's accountable and that someone's overseeing the project and the vendors. But I understood that that's what our project manager, our trails project manager, would be doing for the Peninsula Trail, not the crosswalk. That's obviously a DPW thing and someone else's thing. And I briefly spoke to Brian Valentine today, the town treasurer, and he wasn't quite sure. I was like, well, does the town have a municipal project planner, because a project manager? And he's like, no, we're too small for that. So I don't know who this person would be, and I don't know how it influences our project. So I'm bringing it up to the committee for us to think about, and we'll run it to ground. But I don't think I'm going to call it a roadblock yet, but I am a question mark is kind of on top of my head until we figure out what this means.
Who can advise on that? Is it a town councillor or?
I don't know. I don't mean to throw my hands up, but I'm just about like, look, people, we have dealt with lots of obstacles here and asked a lot of questions. And why is this coming up right now? And so I'm going to go out. Mark Purple is on vacation. I'm going to reach out to Mark Purple. I'm going to reach out to Jason to get some clarity, and we'll figure it out in a couple of weeks. And I don't think it's a huge deal, but I agree. We don't want to touch a $500,000 project. We're not in charge or anything like this. We just need it done for the project.
Yeah.
So I'm fine that they separated out the two projects they're considering them to, but we do need a safe crossing there. So if the town could put it on our priority list, that would be great. So that's the short of that. Any questions on that? All right, we'll speed through the rest. I appreciate your patience. Okay, so capital planning, I just did that. Trail maintenance, time tracking, tools, and purchase and shed. Okay, so we talked a little bit about that, but the time tracking. So what I'm going to start doing is for this year, as we're doing maintenance, tracking our time and keeping it in an Excel spreadsheet so that we know what it takes to maintain the trails on a regular basis. We also know future people that if we're not here, they can take this information and use it to help them plan a work year. But also, speaking of time tracking, when we do the Mass Trails Grant work, any work associated with that, we have to track all of our time very diligently. Each time we meet and have one of these meetings and talk about DCR stuff, we'll be tracking that half hour to a time tracker, because all of our volunteer hours count towards in-kind support, and we need to demonstrate that. So I'm going to be looking for software. And Sachi, I don't know if you have any ideas or could help us maybe find a free software where we could track our time, multiple people, like 5 committee members, and actually we may need to track other people's time too, if it depends on who's
I can check. Yeah, sure.
yeah. So if there's I have a feeling, because I've done a little bit of research on this, that it may be that we can't get a free one for more than 5 users or something like that. So we'll just see. Well, I'd prefer not have to pay for time tracking, because but if we could automate it in some way, we're going to be more likely to do it. But if we have to do an Excel,
Yeah, I mean, that's eventually it's the thing.
then we do that. Yeah. But something that might be helpful, like if it's an app, it might be more easily used or something. Choke Fund 2022, we talked a little bit about that, so I won't go into it much, but we want to think about, so I think we have enough. So we had recommended, I think it was between 6 and 9, maybe up to 9 guided experiences. I'll call them hikes, walks, experiences. So there's going to be enough for the committee to divide and conquer. So we each get to choose a guided walk or hike or experience that we want and run with it, right? So I think that will be fun. I hope we feel like it's fun, and we can all use Eventbrite. We can, we can do a quick training. If you haven't used it, I can help you through it. It's not hard to do at all. And then we can each have a role in this, rolling out these guided walks or hikes. Do you guys have any? Does that sound exciting? Does that sound like a burden? What are you thinking when I put that out there like that?
No, it is exciting. I mean, guided hikes are always good, man.
Yeah. And part of the Choke Fund is we have a small budget to buy binoculars, kid binoculars, right? So it could be a bird walk with an expert who can kind of, and then we have we can buy, I budgeted for little bird journals or nature hike journals that the kids can take with them, their gifts, as and then they can journal. And so you're literally training the next,
Yeah.
lover of nature, hopefully.
Yeah. So how many you are thinking of? How many hikes in the remaining year you are thinking of?
Let's see. Am I still sharing my screen? Good. Give me just a second. Okay. Let's share screen. Share. Okay, you can see my screen now.
Yes.
Okay, so let's see. Here we go. So here's the budget. And we had 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, up to 9.
9 hikes.
Yep. So yeah. And so actually, for the record, yoga on the trail, that's not so much a hike. That's why these are called experiences too. So the yoga on the trail might be, a couple series, like a series of 2 in a row or something, something like that. So when we think, it doesn't have to be as involved as a hike, I guess. It's a different type of.
But summertime, I mean,
It might
late
not
in
be-
the summer, it might be okay towards
Yeah.
fall.
Yeah.
But during like height of summer, it will be difficult because humidity
Right, and that's why it's okay if we slow our roll
Yeah,
and
yeah.
go into this easy, because the fall and the spring are going to be the more popular but we do want to come up with a tentative schedule.
Yeah.
Right, so we're not leaving it all to the last minute. And also I've reached out to Debbie and to Emma and to Aaron and asked them to think about what their schedules are and when do you want to do this and when will this work for you, so that they can help tell us what they think is going to work
Yeah.
out. Right, with in mind that July is hot and August is hot and
Yep.
they're foregone, that kind of thing. Something for like the forest bathing might not be a big deal because
Yeah.
want a huge crowd, right? That we only need just a few to be successful there. So, but yeah, so that's the short of it. So, oh, Isabella keeps going in and out of service. Okay, so let's quickly go. The next thing, Constitution Drive trail system and maintenance. Actually, if we wanted to make a date of it next Tuesday, and visit the property, there's trails that we talked about on Constitutional Drive that we can just do a quick visit. There needs to be some trail maintenance, but I've never visited the property. So would you be open to that after we do a quick garden view, that we pop over there and see what the trail looks like on next Tuesday?
Next Tuesday, after that, or you want to have a meeting?
No,
no,
just
okay,
go
yeah.
visit the trail.
Yeah.
So we can just do both.
Yep.
Hey, Bella, can you hear me now? Hold on, because we may have lost quorum. I just told her you are quorum. Okay, so we have to hang tight for a second.
I can join from phone also, so we can have two of me.
Yeah, actually, we do need to,
No, I know.
call in so we can adjourn, because without her,
Yeah, let me switch on the lights.
oh, she's here. Okay, great. Okay, so you
Hi,
can,
sorry, I am here. It's just
Okay,
like,
great.
I don't know. It was just really wonky for the last 5 minutes.
okay, so I'm not sure what we decided, but we talked briefly about next Tuesday, Bella. After we do the quick garden search or garden, exploration, would you be willing to fly over to Constitutional Drive and take a look at those new trails to see what we need to do for maintenance? We're not going to do any maintenance. We're just going to visit and say, hey, new trail, welcome, and we're coming back for you.
Yeah, I could definitely do that.
Great. Awesome. So let's plan for that. I'll add it to the list. And I think that's it. I mean, we have the accessibility and inclusion purpose statement. So that was Isabel Murphy and Will Warren. So we'll keep that on the agenda. I do believe it's a good thing that we kind of explore. So if anyone else is interested in exploring that, certainly feel free to step up. But I think the two of them, obviously, I think Isabel that's what she does, and that type of training. So she'd be an asset there. I think we can still work to get that in place. Website updates, no new news, committee roles. We've kind of talked a little bit about that. We'll take it up again next meeting. So then I can't look at my calendar because it's wrong. And I just can't believe that. Okay, so let's see, July. So are you going away anywhere, Sati, in July? I thought for some reason you.
July 27th.
Okay, great. So it is the 12th. That's the select board meeting is on the 12th. So what about the week of the 17th? So what about
Week of
Tuesday the
17th.
19th?
Tuesday the 19th. Yeah, that is fine. Yep.
How about you, Bella?
Sorry, what's this for?
Our next meeting.
Yeah, this should work.
Okay. So and 7:30, because I think, because of the light, I think Tom had a little bit of a preference for
Okay.
that. So is that good?
Yep.
And by then we might have information from Select Board on ARPA, and we might have more information from DCR on the grant. Next steps in contracting. So great. So can someone make a motion to adjourn?
Okay, I'll do that.
Sati?
Yeah.
Great.
Yes,
And
I can make it.
a second. Okay, Bella, thank you. And we'll do a roll call vote, and that is Satyendra Sharma,
Yes.
Isabella Bogdansky,
Yes.
and Kat McKee. Yes, great. Adjourn at 9 p.m. Thank you both. Great meeting. And yeah, I will talk to you next Tuesday. Have a great, happy 4th of July.
Thank you.
Thank you. You as well. And congratulations again on the grant funding.
It's just, we're moving along.
Yeah, it's awesome to hear.
Thanks for all your help, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good night and a great weekend, guys.
Night. You too.